Yes, I've had another video banned down. This time it's not the same as the others. This time it's a direct copyright infringement claim. Yes, it is. It's the conspiracy theory deprogramming video, but I am not gonna let it stop me. I'm working on another version. Hospital Porter's Pride and Dignity, Stop the New World Order. Welcome to Hapanmo TV and welcome to this. It's the 13th, God, I've another 13 in the series video ban. I can't believe I've made so many of these. It just goes to show how easy it is to get videos banned. You know, in the early days of YouTube, you'd probably get maybe, you'd struggle to find reason to make one of these. You know, literally you had to put something criminal online before they'd actually delete your videos. And now, of course, you get deleted for everything. Now, this is slightly different. And I don't know if I feel better or worse about this, but the particular video banning I'm going to talk about today is a slightly different circumstance. It's not YouTube's fault in this case. It's somebody else's. But you may work out which video I'm talking about from what you see behind me. Now, I don't know how well you can see this, but this is this is Kate Winslet and Harvey Keitel. And it's a film called Holy Smoke. It's a 1999 Australian film, and it's actually pretty good. First time I saw it, I didn't like it. I thought it was feminist propaganda. But, you know, it's grown on me, and it's actually not feminist propaganda. It's actually a really good movie. And you get to see two things which are worth watching. Harvey Keitel wearing makeup and a red dress, and Kate Winslet in her birthday suit. All right, so you see both those things. The second I can really understand. That's one of the biggest attractions of the film. The first, I'm not so sure. But anyway, it depends what floats your boat. But anyway, do check out Holy Smoke. And of course, the reason I have the still from Holy Smoke behind me is because I did bring this up actually in the video in question I'm going to talk about this evening. Because in fact, I use a still from it in the titles, and I mentioned the reason I bring it up and why it's relevant is because Holy Smoke is about a young woman who gets sucked into a cult, and she has to be kind of deprogrammed. And the video that's just been banned is called Conspiracy Theory Deprogramming. I don't know how many of you remember this. It was from back in September 2023. So it's almost 2 years ago this actually happened. I actually made this film, and it does contain the another person's creative content, and it contains all of a particular video series. Now, this is why I'm not going to bother appealing this particular instant, because you see, the reason this video has been taken down is because of a direct copyright infringement complaint by the uploader, by the creator of the content. And there's no point really appealing that, because YouTube won't honor it. I mean, I can read you the letter they showed me here. I can read you the thing they sent me. You get the usual template that says, "Hi, Ben the Giant Porter. We've received a removal request for your video. Based on applicable copyright law, we've removed the video from YouTube," and it's there, and it tells you exactly who made the complaint as well. This means it's got his email here, which I already know because he wrote to me. I'll tell you. I'll go through the email conversation I had with him. This means that your video can no longer be viewed on YouTube. You've received one copyright strike. If you get multiple copyright strikes, we'll have to terminate your channel. To prevent that from happening, please don't upload videos containing copyright content that you aren't allowed to use. How we process requests to remove content. We use a combination of automated systems and human review to process the removal request, probably mostly the former. What to do next? If you believe you're not at fault in one or more of the instances above, you can appeal the removal by submitting a counter notification. There's no point in doing that, as I said. There may be severe legal consequences for submitting a counter notification with false information. You can also contact the claimant who removed your video and ask them to retract their removal request. Well, I've already done that. In fact, I spoke to him before this all kicked off. Thanks to YouTube team. That's the standard email you get in this situation, which is just pretty typical, I think. But anyway, this you see, there's no point repealing this, because you see, what grounds would I have for appealing against this? Because it under the various rules, the various laws to do with, that's the section. Let me get the actual the legislation it refers to. The Copyright Design and Patents Act 1988 and Section 17 of the USC 107. Now, those are the two. Those are the kind of legislation that refers to fair use. So you can actually reproduce somebody else's content. Now, this does not apply in this case because I literally reproduced all his content. Now, the thing about that, now, of course, you can't appeal fair use when you're literally reproducing all the content. You can't. It's not transformative to do that. So technically speaking, this is absolutely correct. Now, there's two problems I have with this. Firstly, I reproduced it in a situation where there was a specific context, and that is the context I describe in the video. I thought I was actually doing him a favor when I did this, because if I hadn't reproduced all this material, I would simply get criticism. You'll know if you watch you'll understand more if you watch the actual video, and it is still available on AltTech. It is still available on AltTech, and I'll be doing. What's more, I'm going to actually do an edited version, which I'll be uploading to YouTube in maybe a day or a couple of days, maybe. It depends when I get the time. In which all the segments in which I play his video, I will replace with like a commentary. All right, so you can either go and watch it on AltTech, or you can wait for that. So that's something I'm working on now. I mean, I even said I actually said in the titles that I've already done this. I haven't done this, and in the description box you'll see there's a coming soon in brackets. That will be available in a couple of days. So far he hasn't made any claims against the AltTech uploads. I mean, AltTech, it's more difficult to make claims on AltTech, but it can be done. I mean, videos have been removed certainly from BitChute for copyright infringement, but so far he hasn't done that, or he hasn't thought of it. This might remind him. But either way, I mean, I'm not going to let this go. I will produce like a really good facsimile new edition of the video, which I will put on YouTube anyway, which will include like commentary on the bits where his videos used to appear. Now, the specific context, as I explained, was it was necessary to reproduce all his work to avoid accusations of cherry picking, because this was essentially an analysis. And you know what's really ironic and really annoying about this is that at the time the uploader agreed with me, right? So the guy actually agreed with me at the time, and less than 2 years later, it's the same guy who's put in a complaint for me breaching his copyright. So he's changed his mind and now doesn't want me to reproduce his material, even though he was absolutely fine with it before. That's what's really annoying about this. So now, this, of course, has happened so many times. It's unbelievable. I mean, this is like the 13th time. I'm sure there'll be a 14th occasion on this. And I do have a copyright strike on my video now. I have on my channel. I have one copyright strike, which will last for 90 days. I've had these before. They just wear off. They wear off eventually. But and it seems, you know, they go through all the historical ones have now seemed to be exhausted. I haven't had one I haven't had one on any of the historical videos since they brought this rule in, which is good news, because I think they were specifically doing like one at a time, so as not to get me more than one strike. Because if I get 3 copyright strikes, I'm out. I lose the channel. And as you know, people are sometimes malicious, and they'll put false copyright attacks on your videos just to harass you, so you risk losing your channel. So yeah, I mean, I didn't think there was a problem for them from this. This came out of the blue. This came completely out of the blue. You know, almost 2 years after I made this video, and the uploader was absolutely fine with it. Skeptic of the North. He was absolutely fine with me doing it. I explained to him why I was reproducing all his content, because I wanted to give him a fair hearing, and I didn't want anyone accusing me, any ungenerous, dishonest people accusing me of cherry picking what he was saying. And then I get out of the blue, just a couple of weeks ago, I get this email here. Hello, and he gives his name. This is Skeptic of the North here, because he's from Northern Ireland. I assume so from his accent and his name. I was wondering, before I consider resorting to the copyright route, I mean, by the way, this is not his email verbatim. For legal reasons, I'm paraphrasing what he actually wrote to me, because I'm not sure what the legalities of actually reciting his actual email. I was wondering, before I resorted to consider resorting to the copyright route? If I could politely request that you delete the review you made. I'm making it sound like Miles, or a combination between Miles Johnson and Ian Paisley. I'll try and get his accent better. You made of my conspiracy theory deprogramming series. I've taken down my channel and I'm doing the rounds to get any and every association with my YouTube content creation removed, as I don't wish to be part of it anymore. I hope you will respectfully comply with my wishes on this. With this, you're a sincerely skeptic of the North, and he gives his real name here. Now, first of all, I mean, this is open. This is sort of politely request, and it sounds polite, but then it includes a threat. It actually includes a threat in the opening email. Before I consider resorting to the copyright route, could I politely request? In other words, do this, or I will resort to the copyright route. Yeah, and then he explains why he wants to do it. He doesn't just do it out, but he does. To his credit, he does say he's deleted his own channel. He doesn't want himself associated with YouTube anymore. He wants all that stuff removed, and some people do that. Some people choose to do that, but you cannot do that completely. And I actually made this point in my reply to him. I said, "Hi, Skeptic of the North," and I used his real name. "I'm sorry, but I don't feel comfortable doing that." And I wouldn't anyway. But I mean, the fact that he included a threat, even a very veiled threat in the email, I felt no. And I said, if you don't wish to be a content creator anymore, this is my email verbatim, which is I'm repeating. That's fair enough. And brackets. I wonder why though. And yeah, of course, obviously there may be many personal reasons why someone chooses to like completely retire from social media and delete everything they've created. A lot of people do that. Sometimes it's for legal reasons, sometimes it's through fear, sometimes they just want to have a new start. And I continue. But obviously you have made an impact on the lives of other people. Brent Lee is a good example. You can remove your own social media, but you will never succeed in completely eliminating that influence regardless of anything you do. As I explained in my video, that's the conspiracy theory deprogramming video, the reason I chose to include your entire series in my project was not to steal it, and my channel is not monetized anyway. And I explained it so I could give him a fair hearing, and he agreed. At the time, he bloody well agreed. It's so that I could address it as fairly, as completely as possible. I believe I treated you and your conspiracy theory deconversion course respectfully, and it's a production that I am proud of. So no, I will not remove the video willingly. All the best, Ben. That's my reply. And I mean, I think I made a fair point there. And indeed, I actually even this is a lot of this is based on things I actually said in the video in question. It's just been deleted. Now, Brent Lee, you may be familiar with Brent Lee. He's one of these reformed characters. He's one of these conspiracy theorists who's a reformed character. He used to be on our side. I mean, I think I might have interacted with him on the David Icke forum, like in the 2000s. And 2003, I've talked about him before. He became a woo-woo like me, and like us, like most viewers of this video, and he changed his mind for reasons that he goes into in great detail. He's been interviewed by many people, including Mariana Spring on the BBC, who loves this sort of thing. And he explains how he went through what was obviously quite a turbulent emotional upheaval and came out of the other side as a skeptic, someone who wants to undo what he saw as harm that he did at the time and expose what he thinks is a misinformation on TV, and he's on information online by conspiracy theorists. And you know what? He's been in a couple of TV shows, and he does this show with Neil Sanders. And Neil Sanders is a different matter because Neil used to be on our side. In fact, he was one of Richard D. Hall's favoured few, and now he's sort of on Brent's side. But unlike Brent, he's never described his own like conversion, his own like Paulian road to Damascus moment. In fact, he just talks as if he's always been like this. So, I mean, I actually feel more charitable towards Brent than I do to Neil, because Brent clearly is emotionally troubled. He's more sincere, and I think he speaks more from the heart. Neil is basically just trying to. I get the feeling he just wants to talk like, "Oh, I've always been this clever and this wise." Yeah. And I think Neil is trained in various techniques, I think, which makes him very, very difficult to interact with, in my view. That's all I'll say right now. I no doubt I'll come back to that subject. But at the end of the day, I think there's an interview with him on Brentley's on Brentley's channel on what's it called? Some dare call it conspiracy. I think they did an interview with Skeptic of the North. I don't know if he's taken that down. I can go and check. But let's have a look. Have a look and see if he's there. I can show you his channel here, if it's available. Well, you see, there's loads of stuff of him here online. This is him with Flint Dibble, Brentley and Neil Sanders, In Too Deep. Some dare call it conspiracy. This is his channel. I do watch this, by the way. I do watch this. It's one of my guilty pleasures. Well, it would have been a couple of years. It would have been a couple of years ago where he did actually interview with Skeptic of the North. Maybe he agreed. Maybe when Skeptic of the North contacted him and asked him that request, he actually agreed to it. Yeah, let's have a look. I think it might have been gone. It might be gone. Yeah, it might be. Or maybe it was just on his channel. I don't know. But maybe it's on the live segment. Oh, it doesn't. There's no live segment on here. But yeah, I mean, whatever happens, your Skeptic of the North is going to affect people's lives. He's going to leave behind a social media footprint that he cannot delete. He cannot eliminate. There's going to be traces of him forever everywhere. And so he will not succeed in completely deleting his entire presence. He can get rid of his own channel. He can request that people remove their material. I don't think he has the right to threaten people to say however softly and kind of like passively aggressively he does it. I was wondering before I consider resorting to the copyright if I could politely request. Now, he doesn't have the right to threaten people to that, even especially people who he's already been quite happy. Obviously, I didn't ask his permission first, but he did see what I'd done, and he was quite happy with me doing this. I explained why I did it in the video in question, which I'll be doing a new version of, and it's on Alt-Tech. I explain exactly why I did this. Alex, I said, "Well, this is why I've done it." And he agreed with me. He said, that's fine. And he left a couple of very interesting comments, and we had a conversation. And now suddenly he changes his mind. Now he's decided he doesn't want this stuff online anymore, and he's going to go around politely requesting everyone removes everything that's ever been online about him or with him or of him everywhere. And he does it in this very passive-aggressive, veiled threat way. And so I said, as I said, no, I will not remove this video willingly. I felt a bit like I did with old... what's his face? The guy who's after Holt in Woodbridge back in 2015. There was that tosser who was like threatening me. And then he replied with just 2 sentences. Okay, as you wish. Copyright rootedness, then suit yourself. So that was it. Now, I know some of you might be thinking, well, Ben, why didn't you just remove the video? Because he's going to do a copyright strike on. He's going to do a copyright attack on you. You got a channel. Your channel now has a copyright strike. 1 copyright strike. You get 2 more of those, and you lose your channel. Why take the risk? Why not just do what he says and delete it? You won't get away with it if he wants to, because there's a special context to which he's agreed, as I explained. But that doesn't stand legally if he changes his mind and says I want to remove it. And of course, YouTube always are bound to honor his wishes. So why didn't I do that? Well, for the same reason, like when I don't know if you've had this experience when you were a kid, like if the school bully corners you in the playground or in the school toilets and demands you hand over your sweeties, right? Now you could just say, that he's going to take it by force anyway. You can't stop him because he's bigger and stronger than you. He'll just punch you and push you to the floor and just take it out of your pocket. All right, and I'm not saying that Skeptic of the North would do that. He's not that bad, but it's just the same principle. The principle is I would always refuse. I'd say no, I'm not handing these things over. And of course, I'd end up with a black eye or a bleeding lip or a bloody nose, and this bully would just pull it out of my pocket. But I would feel better. I would feel better than if I did, because I did sometimes willingly hand over my sweets, and I felt humiliated, and I felt violated, and I felt demoralized. I felt belittled. I felt a lot better, despite the physical injuries. I felt a lot better saying him, "No, I'm not going to do it. I'm refusing, and I'll take the consequences of that." Because that way you walk away with it. You at least keep your dignity, you keep your self-esteem, you keep your pride. So that's why I said to Skeptic in the North, "No, I'm not going to do it." And I stand by that now if he's watching, and I'm sure he is. So, Skeptic of the North, I stand by what I said to you, and I always will. So, I mean, you did tell me it was all right. You didn't tell me there was a problem until now. So, I'm not. I'm going to assume that this is permanent, and you can't just change it. In my view, legally, maybe you're able to, but in terms of the spirit of copyright law, I don't think you have the right to change your mind about it now. Okay, so I'm glad I did what I did. The video's deleted now, and of course I knew it would be, but it's only, as I said, it's all on Alt-Tech now, and you'll have a much tougher time getting it deleted from there. You may succeed, in which case I'll stick to Plan B, and I'll just upload the edited version there. But I should also point out, I'm creating a database in a cloud of all my banned videos, and I'll tell you how many I have. This is hard to believe, but I have. And so I can read them out to you. I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19 banned videos, including some really great ones like 9/11 Conspiracy, a reply to Stefan Molyneux, Apocalypse Soon, Boris and Trump return, Colonel Holt returns to Rendlesham, of course, confronting Droik, the DC aftermath, Dr. Jonathan Reed, that was trolled out, that was trolled into oblivion. Fake defamation, the 17th live stream, Trump impeachment live stream, etc. Real zombies. Yes, that was banned. Yeah, I'm going to be putting all these on the cloud. And this will include the intact version of conspiracy theory deprogramming, and I'm going to make sure it's in a place where it can't be struck down for copyright. And I won't be publishing it, but I will share the link to anyone who. I will unlist it, and I'll share the link to anyone who wants to watch the original unfettered form. You can download it and watch it in freedom. Because it's not published, then it can't be really attacked. So one way or another, this is going to remain. This video, this production, as I said to Skeptic of the North, as a production I'm very proud of. I'm going to keep it one way or another, and he can't stop me. So I'm glad I did that. I'm glad that I stood up to him. I'm glad that I'm not going to go down the route of self-censorship. Because another problem is, once you start agreeing to these terms and conditions, you become oversensitive, and you start like monitoring every single thing you say and do, thinking, "Oh my God, is that going to break some rule? Is it going to infringe someone's copyright?" Because, as you know, most copyright infringement complaints, especially since the DMCA came in, they're either non-existent, or they are so petty as to be inconsequential. Now, does this count as so petty? I don't know. I mean, was the entire video, the entire 7 series videos that I actually reproduced, you could say that's too much. But as I said, there was a specific context why I reproduced the entire series, and Skeptic of the North agreed with me before he changed his mind and decided he doesn't. But as I said, my channel is not monetized. It never has been. I haven't made a single penny. I haven't earned a single penny off his content. It's free distribution, not for profit. It's for the purposes of private study and research, and criticism and review. So even though I produce far more than would be permissible under the fair use guidelines, it still counts in that respect, I think. And in the spirit of copyright law, I think that I did the right thing. So whatever happens now, I'm glad I stood up to him. I'm glad I told him I wouldn't do it willingly. I knew there's nothing really you can do once someone decides to make this sort of claim, especially if they have a valid reason, which he does. But I do wonder why he suddenly decided to delete everything. Why does he no longer want to do Skeptic of the North? I mean, he didn't explain. He may have personal reasons for that he doesn't want to explain to me. But it seems a shame because he had quite a number of videos. They were very interesting videos. I think I watched his entire channel. So even though I disagree with him vehemently, I always found him a very interesting person to analyze. Very interesting indeed. But that's up to him. That's his decision, and he's done it. Okay. And it's not for me to pry, I suppose. It could be he's had some kind of upheaval the way Brent did. I mean, see, skeptics are, problems like mental health issues, and Brent is quite open about this, are common. They are common among us in the skeptic movement. And I know they'll say, well, we woo-woos are all crazy, and that's true. Some of us are. The mental health issue does exist in the conspiracy sphere, obviously. I mean, this is not a secret. It's quite common. But I think, if anything, certain mental conditions are more common in the skeptic movement, including probably things such as the autistic spectrum and, indeed, morale issues like depression, I'd say, are probably more common in the skeptic sphere than they are in the woo sphere. And it could be he's feeling depressed. In which case, I wouldn't wish that on anyone. And honestly, despite everything, I wish him a rapid and complete recovery. But if he will never succeed in eliminating everything he's ever done online. He can't just say, I want to just go to some kind of year zero where I just didn't do any of this stuff. That's impossible. It's physically impossible, first of all. And you are not going to make it possible by trying to cajole other people into doing it. So give it up. Just if you want to leave. Okay, fair enough. You may want to make a new start. Good luck to you if you do, but quit it with this idea that you can somehow just erase your everything, every single atom and molecule you've disturbed in the course of your social media journey, because it won't work. So what I'll be keep an eye out, because in a couple of days probably I'll be it'll take a long time actually because it's a long video, but I'm going to edit I'm going to make a new cut of the film with, like I said, all of Skeptic of the North material removed and just summary pieces which I will record myself, explaining basically the points he makes in those pieces. So it should still be an interesting video to watch despite that. And that video will be available, and there's no one can remove that because it's all my material. So even if the original disappears from Alt Tech, I will still have that version for you to watch. So keep a lookout for that. Well, there's other things coming up. Obviously, there's Warminster 60 coming up. But do you know what? As far as Warminster 60 goes, I might actually make that a audio only. I might actually make it a roamcast for Herpanwo Radio rather than a video for Herpanwo TV. I'm not sure yet. I haven't made up my mind yet. It depends if I can get my nice audio recorder working or not. But if so, then it'll just be audio only and it'll be on Herpanwo Radio. But I'll have another video for you instead. And I've got other trips coming up, like my Dorset tour is coming up. So that's coming up in a couple of weeks. So that'll be a video, definitely. In the meantime, thank you everyone for watching Herpanwo TV. Hospital Porters, pride and dignity. Stop the New World Order. Yes, I've had another video banned down. This time it's not the same as the others. This time it's a direct copyright infringement claim.